in the studio, and this time we're going to be talking with Joanna Long, who is physical therapy assistant, and she's going to be correcting some of the ways that we use assistive devices, I think. So welcome, Joanna.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, what's happening in the physical therapy department these days?
Well, we've been very busy. I actually work over in Garden Ridge.
Oh, okay.
So we've been staying very busy, working with people that come, some from Garden Ridge, some from Green Spring and some from outside the community. Right. Mm-hmm. And we see people from the assisted living section and the long-term care. What I wanted to just kind of go over and discuss today, because I see a lot of it in the community, is the proper use of assistive devices, meaning like the walker, the rollator, cane, those types of, that's what we consider an assistive device. Mm-hmm. And I brought a couple of things with me today, okay, so I could properly demonstrate positioning, how high a device should be, mm-hmm, and just,
What kinds of things would cause a person to need to use an assistive device that we might not think of?
Well, there's a whole, the ones that I can think of, someone that maybe has had a knee replacement, a hip replacement, someone who's maybe had a stroke, someone who has issues with their balance. You see a lot of people, will need assisted devices for those particular reasons because they just need the added stability. Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. Just give a little anchor there.
Exactly, mm-hmm, exactly. And having the proper assistive device is also important. Many times we will see people using a cane that could possibly, be safer using a walker. Okay. I know for a lot of people there's, kind of some people feel there's, like a stigma associated with using a walker or a rollator. Like, oh, I'm not going to use that. That means I'm old.
I've seen people use grocery carts for that.
Yes, yes. But we're all about people being safe. Sure. That's why we do what we do. Right. Right. We want to have people have the best quality of life that they can, and have it be safe, mm-hmm, and that they're doing things the right way for them.
Okay.
So.
Okay, let's see what we do then.
Okay. First thing I will start with, I'll put these right here. Get this from not falling. I'm going to start with the walker. I adjusted this to my height earlier, and with the walker, you don't want it to be too low, but you don't want it to be too high. If it's too low, then you're going to have this type of posture, right, which I see a lot of, in the community. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of other circumstances that go along with people's posture, arthritis, spinal stenosis, different things that make it very difficult for them, mm-hmm, to stand up straight. But having the walker too low is going to just increase that, right, that posture. So having the walker at the proper height, where I'm kind of right at about where my hips are, and have roughly about a 30-degree angle in the bend of my arm here, and that's about where you want to be. When you're walking with the walker, you want to make sure that it's not way out in front like this. This is your safety net, as I call it. So if you were to start to lose your balance, you want to make sure that you have the walker right here close to you. So you have that stability, in case someone's coming towards you and you lose your balance, or mm-hmm, you're outside on uneven surfaces, where a lot of people really need the added support. So not only is the height important, but the positioning of the walker is also very important. And that goes for the same for, I know a lot of the residents have the rollators with the 4 wheels and the seat. Those are great, love them. The same principle goes with that as far as the height and also positioning. I see, again, a lot of people tend to have this slouched over posture and tend to push the walker or the rollator too far away from them. Especially with rollators, because they have 4 wheels instead of the 2, they tend to go faster. And so you really want to try to have those closer to you.
Well, and also with that little seat in there, it keeps them from getting up close to the walker.
That is true. That is true. Another thing with the rollators that is very important, because these particular, just the regular rolling walker, these do not have brakes on them, whereas the rollators do have hand brakes. So it's always very important that you lock the brakes of the rollator before you sit down in a chair and before you stand up to the rollator, because otherwise it can just
pull away from you.
Yeah, push away from you. So that's another important safety thing to remember. So, and if anyone ever has any questions, whether they think their walker is too high or too low, don't hesitate to come by, either Hunter's Crossing or Garden Ridge. We're more than welcome to, size your assisted device for you, make sure it's the proper height. We do that all the time with people that we see that come to Garden Ridge for therapy. They'll say, oh, I have a walker, my own walker at home. So we'll ask if family can bring the walker to us so we can take a look at it.
Right.
Just to make sure, that it's in safe working order, that the height is good, and, if any adjustments or modifications need to be made. Another device I brought is a quad cane, and it's pretty self-explanatory, quad, because it has the 4 little legs on it. And with this one, proper use or positioning of the quad cane, you'll see there's 2 legs that are a little more straight and 2 that are more angled. The ones that are angled are the ones that you want to have on the outside away from you, because that's what's going to give you the best stability.
Okay.
If it's this way, it's more wobbly. So you always want to have the angled legs out away from your body. And same thing goes for this as far as the height. You want it, this is a little, maybe 1 notch low for me. I could probably put it up 1 notch. Because again, if it's too low, you're going to be hunched over. If it's too high, you're going to be up like this, and you're going to start getting shoulder pain, and start a whole new issue.
Now, when you walk with that quad cane, which side do you have it on? For instance, if my right leg is giving me problem, which side would I use the quad cane on?
If it's your right leg, then you would use this on your left side.
Left side.
That's something that confuses a lot of people. They think, well, gosh, this is my sore side, so I should have it there. But what the rationale is, you want to counterbalance that. Let's say you had your hip replaced. So I would take the cane and then step with that sore side, and as I'm stepping with it, I'm putting the weight and pressure through the cane. Whereas if it's over here, it's not as safe.
Right.
It's not giving you the stability. So if possible, there are some circumstances, people are just so used to having it a certain way and in a certain hand that it just works better for them that way. Then we just kind of let it be.
Right.
We just give our best recommendations and our best, advice for safety. The positioning, it goes the same with your standard single point cane. As far as the height, again, you want it around the hip area, and You don't want it way out here. You don't want it way out here. You want that device to be
fairly close.
Yes,
to your
right,
body.
right by your body. So it's going to give you the support that you need. And I know I see a lot of people who sometimes will carry the cane.
Yes, I've seen that.
And so, you know, that's, you know, even if you just, you know, need the little bit of support, you know, it's safer to actually keep it on the ground and use that support instead of, you know, carrying it, because if you were to start to lose your balance and it's up like this,
Right.
you know, you
How
could
quickly
stumble.
can you get there?
So it's very important, you know, proper usage of assisted devices. One other thing I wanted to mention is with canes, there's different styles, but if you have this particular style, which is kind of like a candy cane, you want to make sure that the curve is toward your body, because that's going to give you the most support.
Oh, okay.
There are times I've seen people with the curve away from the body, and that's you're putting the support away from you. So you always want to make sure that the curve of the handle is towards your body when you're using it.
I think that's a very important point to make, because I think so many people say, oh, I think I'll just get a cane and use it for a while, and not having gone to physical therapy for it. So that would be one thing.
Yes,
be very
I
important
think,
to
you know, if you feel like you need a cane, like your balance has been a little bit unsteady, there's one of two things you can do. You can either get an order from one of the physicians at the medical center for physical therapy, and they can be evaluated for, you know, balance or whatever the need may be. If you have a cane maybe that your family went out to the drugstore or the pharmacy and picked a cane up for you, and you just want to make sure it's the proper height, again, don't hesitate to come by, you know, to either Hunter's Crossing or Garden Bridge, and we can make sure it's the right height for you.
That's great. This has
So,
been very informative.
we're here to help.
Thank you, Joanna.
You're welcome.
Thank you.